So welcome everyone to today's webinar, Start Early, Stress Less, where we'll be giving you some ideas for great steps that you can take in your college planning now as 9th and 10th graders. My name is Derek Terrell, and I'm the Director of Member Engagement here with the Coalition for College. Before we get started, just want to let you all know that the Q&A feature of Zoom is enabled, so you can submit questions through that. However, so many of you all submitted questions with your registration that we'll start with those first, and then we'll move to those afterwards. So I want to share a little bit about the Coalition for College with you and the work that we do. So the Coalition is more than 150 colleges and universities with a proven commitment to access, affordability, and student success. And together we provide a set of tools called My Coalition to help students learn about, prepare for, and apply to college. So Coalition colleges are smart college choices because they graduate students on time and with low to no debt, including those who have been historically underrepresented in higher education. So if you took all of our Coalition schools and you put them together, Coalition schools would outperform the national averages by about 17% when it comes to retention and graduation rates, which are very important factors to consider when you're thinking about the college that you want to attend and how much time and money you want to invest in your education. So when you're building your college list, a great place to start is by exploring Coalition schools. So our member schools are united in providing students with My Coalition, a digital platform which begins as a set of college planning tools and evolves into a place where you can apply to smart college choices. So students can create a free account as early as 9th grade. And let's take a look at the tools in My Coalition for 9th and 10th graders. So the first step that you can take is by creating your account by going to www.mycoalition.org. And when you create an account as a 9th or a 10th grader, you'll be taken to a section of My Coalition called My Story. So this is a space that's going to help introduce some of the features of the platform, especially those that would be really good for you to start using right away. The first thing is the About Me section. It gives you a place to customize your account and fill in a couple of details about yourself. And this helps us share the best information with you on how to help you in your college planning. So if you're a sophomore, for example, we'll let you know the kinds of things that you should be doing as a 10th grader and how to explore colleges and learn more about the process of applying. So remember that I said My Coalition evolves with you and later becomes your application. So all the information that you enter here is later on pulled into your college applications down the road. So you're really helping your future self by saving some time. And the more information that you provide, the better we're able to tailor communications and send you invites to events like this one. So also students have the opportunity to record a short video, and applying to college is really about telling your story. So My Coalition has a lot of ways to document your high school years. You might use the space as a place to save thoughts or reflections on for your future self to look back on, or you can even help develop some of your interview skills in case you're interviewing for a college scholarship or a program. So we provide a few prompts for you that you can use, which will change with you as you move throughout high school. So this is a really great space to help start brainstorming ideas, even for the essays that you might use as a part of your college application. And these are all stored in your locker, which is a free, unlimited private storage space for you. Speaking of the My Coalition locker, that's where the last part of my story takes us. And it's a chance for you to start practicing uploading files. And it's a great habit to start early. You can start putting a note about photos, you can put videos, you can really put anything that you want there, anything that you're proud of. It could be a paper that you got a really good grade on, you can save it there, or a resume for a job, anything like that. And later on, when it's time to apply to college, you can go back to this one simple space and then reference any of those things. So adding schools to your college list is another great way. You can actually go ahead and search through all of this, all colleges in the United States, but you can also look specifically at Coalition schools, which I told you are really smart college choices. And you can also share that list with a mentor, a counselor, or anybody else for feedback. Another thing that's really great about the college list is that you choose who to share it with. So you can share it with your family, teachers, coaches, friends, relatives, anyone that you trust to give you college advice, and you can connect there. So now's a really good time as a 9th or 10th grader to even start building that college list, and we'll provide you guidance on how to add to it and refine it as you go through the process. So I've mentioned the college advice that we'll share with you, and that's all the advice from experts like these college admissions counselors who are here on the call with us right now. And that's all made available through My Coalition Counselor, which is the college advice blog on our website. And after you create your My Coalition account, you'll start receiving this advice straight to your email account right on time, right when you need it. So why else would you want to create a My Coalition account? For a chance to win a scholarship. So our exploration scholarships are for 9th and 10th grade students and provide $500 to help you fund college exploration and prep activities like visiting colleges, doing a summer program, paying for tutoring. And our next drawing actually takes place November 30th. And there's a link in the chat where you can learn more about how to enter that drawing. So make sure you do that. In addition to creating an account, you can follow us on Instagram to bring some of this insight and inspiration related to making smart college choices to your feed. If you have any questions following the webinar, feel free to reach out to us via our info box here at info@coalitionforcollege.org. Now, enough of that. Now we're going to go ahead and jump in. And we have a great group of admissions professionals here with us today who are going to share some of their knowledge and expertise with you as you're starting to think about college, starting early and stressing less on your path to college. So I'll go ahead and let our admissions counselors introduce themselves and also ask them to share one fun fact or interesting fact about their school with you. So let's get started and just go down the list with Jessica from Berea College.
Good evening. My name is Jessica. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions at Berea. And my fun fact is that in our brand new science building, we actually have a real live Nobel Prize that was donated by an alum who won it. So pretty cool.
Hi, folks. My name is Justin Fahey. I'm an Associate Dean of Admissions at Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine. I use he, him, his pronouns. And in terms of fun fact, Bowdoin is right on the coast, right in the Atlantic Ocean.
Good evening, folks. My name is Amanda Barwise. I'm the Director of Admission at Chatham University. I use she, her pronouns. And a fun fact about Chatham is that while we were founded as a women's college, we have since moved co-ed, but we continue that mission by having some amazing leadership opportunities and centers for women's leadership.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chito Hernandez, and I am the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admissions here at Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. I use he, him, his, and L pronouns. And one fun fact about Northeastern is that we have a fun tradition called the Husky Hunt, which is it takes over 24 hours, and it's a scavenger hunt that goes across our campus and all of Boston for students to get acquainted, especially in their first year.
Awesome. Well, thank you. One fun fact for me is I'm from Lexington, Kentucky, and that's not too far from Berea College. So, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you all about some of the topics that we're going to cover today. So you all submitted a lot of questions when you registered for the event. And these are just some of the topics that you all wanted to hear about. So those are the ones that we're going to address. Be sure to check out our existing My Coalition Counselor articles and stay tuned for future webinars as well that will go even more in depth on some of these topics. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here and we'll go ahead and dive into some of these questions. All right, so the first question that I have, I'm going to direct at Justin. So one of our students wanted to know, how can I as a student start learning about my possible major and how should I go about selecting a major?
An amazing question. And ultimately, I want to start with the idea that it's okay to change your mind and realize that you're in 9th and 10th grade. You don't need to know what you're going to do for the rest of your lives right now. You might think that you need to know, or people might be telling you that you need to know, but you don't necessarily need to know. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. That's fine too. So all that to say, in terms of this question, what my suggestion is to really explore some websites, explore some college and university websites. In most high schools across the United States and across the world, you're going to see sort of the 5 core. So in most high schools, I stress that, you're going to see the 5 core disciplines: English, math, social studies, language, and science, and a handful of others here and there. But there is really so much more to explore when you get to college in terms of areas of study. So thinking about the social sciences, for instance, anthropology, urban studies, thinking about the natural sciences, neuroscience, thinking about the humanities, philosophy. There are so many other majors that you may not be aware of, majors that you may never have heard of. I know from personal experience, I was doing just this in 25 years ago when the internet was just starting up, and I stumbled across some word that I never heard of when I was in high school, and it was anthropology. And lo and behold, I read about anthropology and was like, oh my goodness, this is what I want to study. I had no idea it existed. There certainly was not an anthropology class in my high school. And yes, I'll stop there and just say, I encourage you to explore some websites and see what's available at small colleges, big colleges, and medium-sized schools.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. That's actually a really good segue to the next question. One student wanted to know, what is a liberal arts college and how is it different from other colleges and universities? Amanda, do you mind taking that one?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I'll be honest, after years in this industry, I'm still working on a definition that is succinct and clear. But I think the simplest way of understanding the difference between a liberal arts college and other larger universities is that liberal arts colleges tend to focus on their undergraduate populations, whereas you'll find universities will have more of an emphasis on their graduate students. It's not necessarily at the detriment to undergraduate students, but you might find more balance in terms of the attention that's given to graduates and undergraduates. This isn't to say liberal arts colleges can't have graduate students. You'll find many liberal arts institutions that have graduate and doctoral programs, but they tend to emphasize their study for undergraduate students. Another thing you'll find with liberal arts colleges is that many of us don't require you to declare your major when you come in. Some liberal arts colleges don't even let you declare your major until you've been there for a year or so. Again, this isn't to say that you can't do the same thing at universities. These are just some common trends. But the last thing I would say that is a distinguishing factor is that liberal arts colleges will also challenge you to take classes outside of your major. Some will have general ed requirements, some will have discipline requirements, but the focus is to really challenge you to think outside of your major and challenge you to see the world from different perspectives. Again, you will also have this opportunity at universities, but I think it's about focus and common trends. Again, there's going to be a little bit of overlap across all of these, but these are just some common differences that we tend to encounter.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
So the next question that came through was, should I consider taking easier classes to get better grades? And what exactly do colleges mean when they talk about taking a rigorous curriculum or course load? And why is that even important? Cheeto?
Yeah, so I think this one's like a yes and type of question where it's like, yes, please make sure you're not just taking honors and APs classes, because you want to make sure you're also enjoying the thrills of being in high school and taking the extracurricular and your other non-core classes. But when it comes to a rigorous schedule, a lot of institutions are now looking at, are you challenging yourself while you're in high school? At Northeastern in general, we have a holistic review. We look at your class. A lot of institutions do this the same, where we look at what AP or honors classes your institution offered, your high school offered, and we look to see if you actually challenge yourself. Like if your high school only had 5 AP classes and you took all 5, you maxed out your academic rigor at your institution. So that says a lot about the student who's applying to our school and moving forward. So yes, we want you to take some easier classes just so that you can have a small break, but we want to make sure you're also challenging yourself throughout your 4 years, and whether that's taking that honors class in English just to give you a little step more. Or you did a Spanish 1, Spanish 2. Okay, now I'm going to try the Spanish 3 AP class. We just want to make sure that you're able, like throughout your time in high school, that you might start off like fairly on like your regular course classes, but as you move on, we want you to challenge yourself. Take an honors class, take an AP class, and if you do take AP classes, it's only to benefit you as well, because you can transfer those credits in, potentially even like not take a English class while you first year English class when you move in, and you can start off at a higher level English course as well. So that's something we want to see. Do we want you to challenge yourself? We also want to make sure that you're having fun while you're still in high school and taking that either graphic design class or that like home economics class while you're there, and still enjoying the thrills of high school on top of making sure you're balancing it off with some rigorous academics as well.
Awesome. So I know that there's no prescribed, I guess, curriculum that every student should take, but one student did want to know, are there any specific courses that they should be taking during freshman or sophomore year? What would you recommend, Justin?
To be perfectly honest, I don't think there are any specific courses that are must takes for students in their first and second years of high school. Just recognizing the fact that, as Cheeto mentioned, there's thousands of high schools in the country and the United States, to say nothing of around the world, and every high school is going to have different graduation requirements. But I think driving at this question, what should you be taking during your freshman and sophomore year of high school? You want to set yourself up for success in your junior and senior years of high school. Exactly as Cheeto pointed out. Setting yourself up for success often means taking those introductory courses. So whether it's introduction in the biological sciences, maybe it's Bio 101 or whatever it's termed or whatever it's called at your high school, and with the eye to eventually getting to maybe an AP level class when you're a senior. Because again, as Cheeto pointed out, many of these AP classes, many of these honors classes, many of these higher level classes are going to require prerequisites in order to get into them by the time you are a junior or a senior. So you don't want to be sort of frustrated by the time you become a junior and senior in high school and say, well, shoot, I wanted to really take this AP class, but I don't have the prerequisite under my belt in order to be able to do it. So the short answer, make sure you're looking at the long game.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm actually just going to throw this out to the entire group because I just saw this in the Q&A. So a student said that their school doesn't offer APs and honors. What would you suggest that a student do if their school does not have those classes?
All right, yeah, let's do it. Sorry, Jessica, I jumped in. I saw you on mute. Go for it.
You're totally fine. I think we see that a lot at Berea because so many of our students come from really rural schools where they just don't have access to AP classes in particular. And what I always share with students is we're only going to judge you against your peers. So if you went to a high school that doesn't offer those courses, you're not going to be penalized for that. What we look for in those cases is that you've taken other opportunities to learn outside of the classroom. So did you take advantage of the summer program where maybe you could explore passion, or if you had the opportunity to do maybe a dual credit class or something like that your junior or senior year, did you take advantage of that? But certainly I think we want students to be aware most schools won't penalize you for the fact that your school didn't offer that kind of coursework.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. This next question I'm actually also going to throw over to you. So a lot of students actually wrote in about extracurricular activities, and we even have some student supporters, parents, and counselors on this call too. So knowing, especially in this last year and a half, a lot of students weren't able to participate. So a big question was, how important are extracurricular activities or activities outside the classroom, and how should they decide on which ones to participate in and where to find those opportunities?
Yeah, that's such a great question, especially after the last year where so many activities just weren't happening at all. So what I really like to share with students is that most schools that you're applying, well, I would say all schools you're applying to, they want to know that you're going to enhance their community. And you do that by demonstrating that you've enhanced your school community, and that can look different for everybody. So my rule of thumb for students is it's quality over quantity. I would much rather see a student who is engaged in a handful of extracurricular activities because they were passionate about them, as opposed to a student who jumped into every club at school and did the bare minimum just to fluff out that college resume. So as you're thinking about what kind of extracurricular activities you want to do, I think it's really about exploring what's available at your high school and then identifying those activities that most align with your hobbies and passions. And I also want to throw in there, I think it's really important for us to recognize that over the last year or two, a lot of students have been at home taking care of younger siblings and helping them to learn, or working jobs to help with their families. And you want to share those things with colleges as well. If those kinds of activities are part of your family or your norm, and maybe those have prevented you from participating in extracurricular activities, colleges want to know about those too, because they speak to who you are as an individual. I would say the only thing we don't want is the stereotypical, I go home after school every day and I play video games. Like, find something to get involved in. That's going to help us see how you can plug into our community too.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jessica. So the next question I have is going to be for you, Cheeto. So a student wanted to know, how can I make sure that I am exploring and later applying to schools that will be affordable for my family? Is there anything that I can do now as a 9th grader?
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is like, this coalition is like a great part where like you offer that $500 scholarship for folks if you're interested in doing that. And a lot of actual schools have like a college counselor or like a college center, or have something in their district that can help you, give you more information about colleges. But there's a lot of options out there for 9th and 10th graders to start applying for scholarships early on, especially if they're if they know they want to do STEM, if they know they want to do something in the liberal arts or humanities. There's a lot lot of options for being able to get scholarships early on and get those secured. So by the time you graduate, you can have like 2-3 small scholarships under your belt to, let's say if you go out of state, you have that money for your flight. So you don't have to worry about all that. And for, especially depending on if like finances are different. Another way to like make sure you're able to find schools that are going to be like a financial fit for you is figuring out like what academic path you want to go on. A lot of folks will be like, go straight to a 4U, but sometimes a 4-year is not like the academic path you should take or want to take. Maybe you want to go to a 2-year, figure out what you want to do, explore that, and then transfer on to a 4-year institution. But there's a lot of also merit scholarship that a lot of schools offer. There's different types of scholarships that they can offer depending on affinity groups or identity groups. So once you know the institution or the type of institution you want to go to, start by exploring what financial resources they provide their students. Try to like figure out potentially like how many percentage of their students actually get merit-based aid or any need-based aid, merit scholarships. And that will kind of give you an idea of, well, this institution that I'm applying for, if I do get accepted, 80% of their students get some sort of financial aid, whether it's merit, need-based aid, so on and so forth. And that will help you kind of give you a gist of like, these are the type of schools I want to apply for. And if you're gonna shoot for the stars, everyone should. Everyone shoot for the stars and you apply to your dream school. A lot of them will find aid for you if you truly want to go. It won't be like full rides and stuff like that, but like we will find aid to help you as much as we can, especially if it's need-based aid. And a lot of schools have a commitment to need 100% of your need-based aid. So also look for schools who do offer that option.
Great. Does anyone else have anything else to add about that?
Can I just jump in and say I have a 15-year-old, and so she and I are going through this process right now. So I can definitely relate to those of you who are 9th and 10th graders. And what I've really encouraged her to do is to not take any schools off her list at this point. If you're really interested in a school, don't remove a school from your list at this point in high school just because of cost. Give that school an opportunity to present a package to you at the point you apply and are admitted, and then you can come to terms with, okay, maybe this isn't realistic, or I can make this work, and I'm really excited to move forward with that school.
Thank you. That was excellent advice from both of you. And then I just wanted to once again let you all know, like Cheeto said, the coalition is a great place to start because all of these schools do have a commitment to affordability for students. So definitely this is a great place to start, but everything they said, I definitely agree with, and it's great. So the next question that I'm going to ask, I'm actually going to ask Justin. So one student heard that colleges are looking for AP classes now and are no longer asking about subject tests, and wanted to know if that's true. And I think just wanted to know a little bit more about what's going on with the SAT, ACT, and like this whole test optional thing that's going on.
Oh, how exciting. This is a good one. And I encourage all of my colleagues here to hop in as well. I think the best place to start is to say that every school is different. Every college university is different. And there are certainly, if you go into the world of the internet, if you explore the internet, you're going to find blogs and advice and suggestions from totally random people coming up with totally random ideas about what to do with regard to standardized tests. I really stick by the notion that you should explore what is required at the schools you are looking at. So if you're looking at the 4 institutions that are represented here, take a look at all of our websites and take a close look to see what we are asking for from students. So with regard to the ACT, the SAT, Bowdoin is test optional. We have been for 50 years, but we realize that to the question that you asked, Eric, there are a huge number of schools that are either very recently or maybe not so recently becoming test optional or flirting with the idea. And so it's going to look different from place to place. And you have to trust that these institutions are able to convey their approach well and articulate exactly what test optional means at their respective institution. It's going to look different at Bowdoin as it is at Northeastern or Berea, et cetera. So every school, if it's test optional, it's going to look different, and you're going to have a different percentage of students who actually are accepted via test optional. I think that would be a great question to ask if it's not explicitly published on websites. ask the question, how many of your students, if you are test optional, how many of your students, how many of the students who matriculate, who actually come into the front door on the first day, were accepted as test optional students. I think that's an instructive statistic to have in your pocket, so to speak. And stepping back just a smidge before I end here, I think when it comes to being a 9th and 10th grader and the somewhat, hopefully it's not too daunting, but for some it might be daunting to think about the SAT and the ACT, these big monumental tests that are going to rule everything in my life. That's not the case. That is absolutely not the case. My suggestion, take them. Get financial support if you need it from your high school, from the College Board and the ACT directly. I would suggest taking them. It can't hurt. And if you get your scores and you roll into the fall of your senior year in high school and you're applying to college and university, and you don't feel that your scores complement the rest of your application, find those and hone in very closely on those schools that are truly test optional, where you don't have to submit your scores. I will leave it there. And I know test optional stuff is rife for debate, and there are a lot of competing opinions out there. So I would love some of my colleagues to hop in and share their thoughts as well.
I can hop in terms of if your high school does offer any SAT or ACT prep classes, or even just some after school hours, please take full advantage of those. And also, don't feel like you need to buy an SAT prep book. Go to your local library, whether it's last year's, 2 years ago, it's still prepping you to take the SAT. Feel free to go rent that out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, recheck them out. Don't feel like you have to spend $40, $80 on SAT preparation. There's a lot of free resources online to help support students on this. So please take advantage of anything that's free, so you are not making that financial investment early on as well. And one thing I will say, when it comes time for you to start applying for institutions and they are test optional, a lot of students that are, especially now that come visit our schools, are asking, well, what does it mean? Like, should I still submit or not submit? What we tell a lot of students is that every school will post their mid-range of students who got accepted and then you submitted the SAT score. And if your score is in that range, feel free to submit it because it complements your academic success. But if by chance it's like just a couple points below, we will suggest you not submit it, because once you submit it, it's something we have to evaluate. And it's one of those things where it's like, once a school posts their mid-range, and if you go above it, it complements your academic success, feel free to submit it because that enhances your application. But if you don't submit it, we can't evaluate you on anything you don't submit, especially for test optional, and we'll still evaluate you with all your academics that you submit with us.
Awesome. So I just saw something come in through the Q&A. So a student wants to know, when should you actually take the SAT or ACT test? Can you all just give us a little bit of background about like a timeline that they should consider? Amanda?
Yeah, so I would recommend somewhere between spring of junior year to early senior year. Mostly because that's going to give you some flexibility to choose if you want to submit your scores or not. You can absolutely take SAT or ACT scores later in your senior year, late into the fall, even until the spring, but recognize that many schools might have deadlines, especially for early decision, early action in November, maybe even in January, and you might not take the test or receive your scores until after those deadlines have passed. So finding testing dates that are earlier in the fall of your senior year, maybe even into the spring of your junior year, will give you that flexibility to get your scores back, decide how you feel about them, do a little bit of research on the schools you're looking at to see how that fits into the middle 50%, and make a decision as to how you want to move forward with those scores.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. And I know that Cheeto mentioned there's a lot of free resources. I know that Khan Academy has some free test prep, as well as schoolhouse.world has some free online tutoring around test prep as well. So great. So we have talked now about test scores. We've talked about some coursework. We've talked about extracurricular activities. So Jessica, this question is for you. So what are colleges actually looking for in an applicant?
It feels like this great mystery. Yes. Like you all sit in these dark, crowded rooms and make these decisions, and no one understands how it happens or how it works. And I really don't like that. I think we should be as transparent as we can with students about how we make decisions. What I would say though is I think when a college is evaluating your application file, what we're most looking for, and I would hope we would all say this, I imagine so, is authenticity. We want to get to know you, the real you, not the student you think we want to see, not the student you feel like you need to portray. We really want to get to know you, because when you think about it, going to college is your investment too. You're investing your time, oftentimes your limited funds, into having the best experience that you can. And so being true to who you are allows us to really evaluate if our school is a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for our school. And when we find that mutual fit, those are the students we want to admit. Now, yes, we're going to evaluate your GPA, and if you choose to submit them, your test scores and your extracurricular activities and your teacher recommendation forms and all of those other things that become part of an application file. But ultimately, at least at Berea, it comes down to that mutual fit piece. Is Berea a good place for you, and are you a good student for Berea? And when the answer to that is yes, then we want those students on our campus.
Awesome. And it looks like there's a lot of agreement from everyone, so that's great. All right. So the next question that I have is actually going to be for you, Amanda. So a student wanted to know if they are interested in a school, should they reach out to the school, and when would be the best time to do so?
Absolutely. We are first and foremost people-centered organizations. We are here in service of students. So we wouldn't be in this industry if we didn't love working with students. So I would encourage you, if you are excited about a school, find an opportunity to reach out to your admission counselor. We post our information online, take some time to do a visit. If that's not an option, there are lots of really good ways to start to learn about a college online. We've got lots of videos on YouTube. Lots of us have chats on our website where you can engage with someone in a chat format. So there are a lot of different ways that you can start to reach out and get connected with an institution. What I would like to add to this is that if you're really excited about an institution, remember that it's quality over quantity. You don't have to reach out and demonstrate your interest every single week. You don't have to do that. But finding those opportunities to ask meaningful questions, thoughtful questions, things that you can't find on the website, because your admission counselors are here to be a resource for you. We know the college process can feel overwhelming at times. It can feel really intimidating at times. And I think we really want to help demystify that process for you and help you understand if our institution, if our college is going to be a good fit for you. So as you have those questions, as you're trying to understand more about the culture and the community, I would encourage you to reach out to your admission counselor, reach out to the school, and we can put you in contact with current students. We can help you schedule a visit and help you start to see if this is going to be the place for you. So there's no time that's too early. I would say that as soon as you're ready to start hearing from us, you're going to hear from us. Trust me. You're going to get emails, phone calls, all of the good stuff. Lots of mail, all of it.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. And I will once again go back to that college list that we have in my coalition. You can easily just check a button next to the coalition schools, and that will let the schools know that you're interested in them. So that's a really easy way to show your interest. So the next question I have is for you, Cheeto. I think there are some people who are on the call who might not be currently residing in the US. So they wanted to know, will the college application process be different for students if they're a US citizen versus if they're a green card holder, if they're a DACA recipient, or if they're an international student? Just any advice on learning the specifics about their unique statuses or situations, or who should they turn to?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So this is an important question. So when you apply to any school, whether it's the Common App or the coalition application, or if there's another application system, you will just do it all, whether you're international, a Dreamer, a DACA student, or a non-documented student, or have a green card, you will do it the same way. It is something that you'll list under that. And I think it's also important to look at when you're searching schools is understanding what type of resources they have for different students. So if you're undocumented or a dreamer or international students, a lot of need-based financial aid might not be available for you, but there might be other scholarships to support those students to ensure that those students can come to our institution. For I know a lot of students who are at least at Northeastern, we have like for students who can't come due to get need-based financial aid, we want to provide scholarships for them to be able to attend to our institution if we believe that they're a great fit for our institution as well. And a lot of other schools have these support systems too. And I know sometimes if you do reach out to a school and there's not like the best support system or aid for you here, we will provide you a list of schools where like these schools actually do have all these institutional aid and scholarships and have all these structures set in place to support students just like you. Because we, again, yes, as a counselor, I work for an institution, but I also want to make sure I'm counseling students to make sure they're making the best educational decision for themselves, as college may be your most or your second most financial investment you do in your life. House being probably your most financial investment that you'll do in your life. So we want to make sure that we're counseling our students to make the best decision they can make and make sure they have all the materials that in front of them to make that financial decision before they fully commit to an institution.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheeto. So it sounds like it's going to be different at each institution. So I guess definitely encouraging students to reach out to the schools and asking about their unique situation. So thank you so much. The last question that I have here before we go to the ones that were submitted through the Q&A, a student wanted to know, how can they take care of themselves even with all the stress and the pressure of school and thinking about their future? So I'm going to hand that over to Jessica.
That's such a great question. After the last year and a half, I think we're all wondering, how do we strike that balance? And so what I would say is to be the best version of yourself, you have to focus on yourself. And so we all recognize that the last year or two has been very challenging, particularly for students who are in high school. It's hard enough to do high school when you're in school every day. It's another thing altogether to do high school when there's a worldwide pandemic going on. And so I've really encouraged students over the last year to just be honest about what they can handle and what they can't, and then to communicate that with us. I've had a lot of students who've just said, I had to step back from this activity or that one because I need to do my schoolwork, and I'm also trying to balance taking care of siblings at home, or we all have to share the internet for classes and all those kinds of things. And so I think just being honest with those around you about what you feel like is reasonable for you to also just maintain that sense of self-care. One thing I've really been encouraged by is I think 9th and 10th grade and even upper class students in high school have really seen this as an opportunity to cultivate new hobbies. And those are super exciting. So if that's a way that you can focus on yourself and perhaps get that self-care that you need to take some of the stress off that goes along with what does my future look like in this world, I think a new hobby can be a great way to do that. And added bonus, it'll look good when you get ready to do those applications in a few years.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. So actually a question just came in. So is it okay to feel burnt out sometimes?
Yes, 100% yes. And you're going to feel that way in college, and you're going to feel that way as an adult. And the key is learning how to cope with that and learning who those around you are that you can ask for help, and seeing that as a growing opportunity as opposed to something that makes you lesser than.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I really love that point. Derek, just may hop in for a moment and echo what Jessica said about learn about those who are in your orbit, who are there to help you. And it might not be immediately obvious at the high school level or even at the college level, but definitely seek help. It's okay to ask for help. And I encourage you, certainly as we are all working for colleges and universities, I encourage you to ask the question of the admissions offices that you talk to. What are mental health resources like at your respective institutions? How are you supporting students generally from a mental health perspective, but specifically we're very much still in the world of COVID. So how are you supporting students uniquely with regards to COVID? So don't shy away from asking questions about mental health to your admissions officers.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Justin. So I'm going to go ahead and ask some of the questions from the Q&A, and it looks like they're kind of really bunched into two groups right now. One about extracurricular activities, the other about curricular choices. So can any of you all speak to the extent that athletics might play in the selection process for admissions? And I'll just let you, whoever unmutes first.
Cheeto is a tie. Oh my goodness. And Amanda. Oh geez. Well, I'll just say it varies. It varies from institution to institution as you get perhaps farther down through the process, or further down through the process. In high school, you'll start identifying colleges, universities that are Division I, Division II, Division III institutions, and there are a couple of other divisions as well. But those, the NCAA Big Three divisions, 1, 2, and 3. And the athletic recruitment process is very different across all of those divisions. And there are some very significant nuances to pay attention to for all three of those divisions. So that was a really unhelpful answer on my part, other than to say you have to do more research. So Amanda and Cheeto, you guys both unmuted. What else did I miss there for the short answer?
I think you covered anything I would have said. Great answer.
Awesome.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is, like, if you did high school sports and like you want to focus more on academics afterwards, most, if not all, institutions now have something called intramural sports, that you can still play sports, just not at the collegiate level, but you get to do it with your group of friends, and new friends that you meet on your in your hall, in your residence halls. You can do it more like a fun way and not have that. You'll have the competitive aspect, but it won't be like for a title and the collegiate level, which is a great way for folks who did sports in high school to still be involved in sports, but not just at the collegiate level.
Awesome. So the next question is once again about extracurricular activities, or how I like to say activities outside of the classroom. Do you all as admissions counselors care if it's a club activity or does it have to be an actual class? I see Jessica shaking her head, so I'll let her answer that one.
I mean, I don't care if your activity is volunteering somewhere every week, if that's something that you're really passionate about. I think students get hung up on, well, I have to do FBLA or Beta or National Honor Society because those are really well known. Some of the most interesting activities outside of the classroom that I hear about are ones that students have really kind of cultivated on their own because it was something they were genuinely excited about. So yes, there's a time and place for all of those other kind of nationally known organizations too, but ultimately it's about finding what you're going to take the most away from and engaging in it at a level that demonstrates it's something you're really passionate about.
Awesome. So I think that even answers this question, but maybe Cheeto, you might be able to answer this. They're also wondering, like, where can they find extracurricular activities outside of school? I know you mentioned volunteering, but any other examples of activities they could look for?
I was just going to piggyback off of Jessica's last answer, and I just want to re-highlight of when she said we're looking for quality over quantity. One of the things we understand that due to the pandemic, a lot of folks will have a gap between their extracurricular activities that they weren't part of. But when we look at applications, it's very easy to tell a student all of a sudden their senior year is involved in 17 things because they're applying to an institution. So we want to make sure that you're like, if you're going to be involved in something, we want to make sure something that you're passionate about and that you've done throughout the years, because that shows that you're persistent. You're doing a change in organization. Or teams of volunteer work. You can volunteer at the library. You can volunteer if you want, like provide educate or activity support at like old folks homes. Like a lot of folks do like bingo nights, and you can go and call bingo. So it's a lot of fun. Like it's pretty much anything that you're passionate about or you want to do a support, or like if you know the area of discipline or major you want to go into, a lot of offices will be like, can I shadow you? Can I do that? And that's things that we want to look for, because that shows initiative as a student coming to our institution. And then it shows that you have a drive to continue doing and things you're interested in. And just, again, you want to make sure that you're consistent throughout the years of high school and make sure that your senior year, you're not all of a sudden like part of 15 clubs. We want to make sure that it's consistent throughout your years in high school.
Awesome. So I know that we actually, oh, I'll let Justin go. I saw you unmute.
Derek, I just wanted to hop in briefly and say that I really appreciate the point you made about sort of renaming extracurricular activities to things you do outside of school or outside of class, that is, things you do outside of class. And I think it was either Jessica or Amanda, I can't remember who made the point earlier about family responsibilities. And I think this is, I just want to stress again, in the extracurricular list of items that you do, family responsibilities should absolutely be there. And particularly coming out of COVID, I'm sure my colleagues will agree, we've seen a massive uptick in the number of students who have pretty darn substantial family responsibilities on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So if that's you, please indicate as such. Let us know in that extracurricular activity section. And moreover, if you, or I should say along similar lines, if you work part-time or full-time, and that's all you do because you go to school and you work full-time, then that's okay. It's okay to have just one thing. But if you don't write down that the work commitment, we're not going to know, and it's going to be a little bit confusing for us. But if you're working full-time, chances are you can't do much else besides go to school and work. So please put family responsibilities. Those things are absolutely important in the extracurriculars list.
Awesome, thank you. One question that did come in as well, and this might be different by institution here, but somebody wants to know if colleges and universities like early high school graduation students. So do you all look at students who graduate a year early in any different way in the admissions process? And I will just throw that out and let you all answer because I don't know.
I can take a shot at this one first. I think early graduation is something that students really have to know themselves to know if that's something that they want to and should do. Because I think there's a couple different ways this can go. Sometimes students are just raring to get out of high school. They just want to fly through as quickly as they can. And maybe they're just really, really excited about college. But it should never be at the detriment of your academic experience in high school. We want to make sure you're still getting those foundational classes, that you're still having a well-rounded high school experience in the classroom. So I think it's something that I would encourage students to be really thoughtful about as to why you are looking at early graduation. Are you just looking to get done with your academics as quickly as possible? Because if that's the case, I got bad news for you. If college is your next step, you've got 4 more years of academics ahead of you. If you are just really excited about college, you're ready for that next step, that is also absolutely okay. But just making sure that you're working closely with your high school counselor and your family and your mentors to make sure that you're still fulfilling all of your academic requirements so that when you're applying to colleges, you're still able to submit a strong academic transcript that's going to highlight all of the skills and all of the things that you've learned in high school that will translate to college. So it's tough to answer because students go about this with lots of different motivations. So I would just encourage you to be thoughtful about why you're doing it and think about if that's really going to be the right fit for you. Because if you're excited, we're ready to welcome you. Just make sure that you're still fulfilling all of those academic requirements. You're still having a good and well-rounded high school experience with extracurriculars or activities outside of classes, work, volunteer, all of that good stuff.
Awesome, thank you. The next question I'll throw to you, Jessica, because it looks like they've asked it a couple of times, a couple of different people. They want to know, does GPA matter?
Yes, and I would say GPA, and this is just me speaking for myself, so others can contradict me. I would say GPA matters more than test score. Your test score is what you do on a Saturday morning. Your GPA is the culmination of 4 years of effort. And there is more than substantial data that tells us that students who have higher GPAs, that is a better indicator for us of your likelihood to be successful in college than your test score is. So if given the option between having a lower GPA and a higher test score, or a student with a higher GPA and a lower test score, 9 times out of 10, I personally will go for the student with a higher GPA. that is a recognition of the effort that they've put into their learning over a 4-year period, as opposed to just that one exam. Now, I'll also throw out there, because if you don't mind, I saw a question about if students whose GPAs maybe went down during the pandemic. And I think that's really important for students to be just upfront with us about. We recognize that it was incredibly challenging to learn in whatever platform you were last year. But I also think a lot of students aren't being honest with us about what those challenges really were for them personally. And so I really encourage students at whatever schools you're applying to, get to know your admissions counselor. Don't dodge all their phone calls, but actually get to know them, because we can only advocate for you in so much as you allow us to do that. And we only know what you tell us. So if we don't have a good understanding of that dip in GPA or absence of extracurricular activities one semester, we can't really explain that. So I really encourage students, whether it's pandemic threw you off or you've had other things going on outside of school, share those with us so that we can help to provide the best picture of who you are as decisions are being made.
Awesome, thank you. So one more question before I kind of ask a wrap-up question for everyone. So we were talking about taking standardized tests, ACT, SAT. So one student wants to know, if they take the SAT, for example, their sophomore year, and they get a score that they really like, can they use that on their application 2 years later, or would they need to retake it closer to their junior or their senior year? Amanda?
I think this might be different for all of us, but in my experience, we would have no problem accepting an SAT from a little bit earlier than junior or senior year. But I invite my colleagues here to jump in if they have a different policy. But I think for us, there would be no problem with submitting an earlier test score.
I completely agree with Amanda on that front. Good for you. Awesome. Well done. You're excited about a sophomore year SAT score. Do it. Submit it. But the one word of caution that I have, or I suppose it's more than a word, but a sentence of caution, a paragraph of caution is to say, if you did that well your sophomore year, I would be willing to bet that you probably will do a little bit better after some more academic work under your belt. So why not try it again? If you did so well your sophomore year, why not give it a try your junior or early on in your senior year? And one thing that we didn't talk about is super scoring. So and again, this is different from college to college, university to university. If you choose to submit your test scores, some colleges and universities allow you to super score, which essentially means, let's say you take it twice, you take the SAT twice, or you take the ACT twice. Super scoring is picking and choosing the highest component or the highest component scores and putting them together. So in the case of the SAT, that would mean taking the writing, your highest writing score and your highest math score, squishing them together. And that would be the super score.
Awesome, thank you. And actually, I'm going to ask one more question from here, because I think this is probably a really important and good one. So if a student is a sophomore and say they got a not so great grade, are their chances of getting into college or their dream school completely over because they got a not so great score their freshman year or their sophomore year? I see Cheeto shaking his head. I'll let you go first.
Yes. So it was this. So if it's an SAT score, no, because you still have time to retake it. And again, a lot of schools are going test optional. So like you don't even have to worry about submitting an SAT score. And if it's for a class grade, a lot of schools and high schools, I would don't take my word for it, check with your high school. But if you retake that class, it'll come, what if you get a higher grade your second time you take it, it'll completely like if you didn't take it the first time. So your new grade will now be for that, and it will essentially boost up your GPA. And one class is one class. It's like if you get 1C, we're not going to be like, oh, all your priority schools, your top schools are off your list now. It's not like that. Again, if we look at your GPA as a whole, you want to make sure like you continued on your academic path in your next 2-3 years. You want to make sure that you're still like moving up on that train as well, and making sure you're still getting high grades. But again, if you get it your freshman year or sophomore year, a bad grade, you can retake it your junior year to take recover that grade and still be on track to apply to all of your dream schools.
Right, awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like also you all look at a trend, right? So a student can always, if you do not do so great freshman, sophomore year, you can always keep on doing better. And I think colleges like to see that. So we are getting close to time. So I do want to wrap up by just asking each of you to maybe spend a minute or so, just last words of advice for students and families and caregivers that are here as they're starting to think about college and starting early and stressing less. And I'll go ahead and start with Justin and move around my screen.
Not cool. I wasn't ready for that one. Okay, got it. Thank you, Derek. I think don't forget about the importance of being happy. And don't forget this notion of happiness. I think we, in the sort of unnecessary stress that comes with applying to college and everything you read, everything you hear, rankings, nonsense, et cetera, it can get really stressful, and you can easily lose sight of the importance of happiness. And I encourage you to ask, again, your admissions officers, when you're looking at schools, are students at your schools happy? Can we talk about happiness and balance and what that looks like at your respective institutions?
Thank you. And then Amanda?
I so appreciate the comment about happiness. I think that's so important. I think my advice would be to lean into the support system around you, lean into your parents, your guardians, your mentors, your counselors. You do not have to go through this search process alone. The search for a college, the search for financing college can, as I said before, feel so overwhelming at times, trying to suss out different deadlines and what it's going to cost to attend. So just remember that you have resources, you have a community of people around you that are there to support you, whether it's just sitting quietly and just existing or helping you sort through the mountains of materials that we're mailing to you over the course of the next couple of years. Lean into your counselors, ask for their advice, work with your parents and your mentors. They're there to help you, and your admission counselors. Like, I hope we don't come across as intimidating in any way. Like, I hope panels like this show that we are friendly and that we like talking to students. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We want to be a support system for you. We want to help you in any way we can.
And then Jessica?
Yeah, so I actually think what I would share is something that I said earlier, which is be true to yourself. And I say that with a little bit of a take advice that you receive with a grain of salt. Because you know yourself best. There are going to be lots of folks around you who have an opinion about where you should go to school and what you should do and what your major should be and where you should live after you go to college and everything else about your life. But you know you best. And I really encourage students, listen to that advice, take it in, but be confident in the choice that you make and make sure that it's a choice that's true to who you are.
Awesome. And then Cheeto?
And I just have two quick little nuggets. So a lot of institutions now do have either their tour guides or like an ambassador program for students. Feel free to reach out to schools and ask if they have those types so you can get connected with students. Because as much as I can tell you about our institution and our programs, I'm sure you really want to know about the student perspective and the student who's actually living it. And that is a great way to get to know about the student transition, what they can do, what are they doing on campus, whether it's research, projects, classes they're taking. That's a great way to get to know more about the actual college campus culture. And lastly is, I know we talked briefly about pre-college programs. So a lot of schools do have these pre-college programs, and a lot of them do offer financial aid or give you a full scholarship to attend these. So reach out to your local colleges or universities to see if they have any college programs, and if there's any cost to them, ask them if they have any financial aid available for students to ensure that they can cover the cost for them so that you can attend these pre-college programs during the summer in between either your sophomore, junior, or going into your senior year to maybe try the engineering track or maybe try the humanities portion and language arts or like writing that will give you kind of a better gist of being like, I'm going into this college and I'm thinking of this major. It'll kind of give you a very quick feel of what it will be to be a student at the institution, but it would be a great way to get involved and do it also, like, and make sure you have some financial assistance to do these.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheeto. So I know that there are still some questions in the Q&A. Definitely encourage you all to look at the My Coalition Counselor articles on our website, because a lot of the answers will be there, and you can access some of the old recordings as well and some of the articles. But also we have a ton of events coming up. So if you're in 9th or 10th grade, don't worry, you still have a lot of time. If you happen to be an 11th or 12th grader that's on the call, or a parent or a student supporter, you still have more than enough time. So just make sure that you are looking at some of those resources, as well as creating your My Coalition account and looking at some of the events. We actually have our next college fair coming up October 5th and 6th, where there will be over 140 colleges and universities that will be represented there. So be sure to sign up for that. So with that, I'm going to thank our admissions counselors. Thank you all so much for taking the time and sharing your wonderful advice and knowledge with everyone here. And thank you to all the students, families, and student supporters on the call tonight, and for your wonderful questions. So with that, I will go ahead and say good night to everyone, and thank you so much. See ya.